New Brunswick will definitely recognize this picture. Not only is the horse Seltzer Blue one of the most famous horses to come out of New Brunswick, but also the driver is Steve Mahar, who's the winningest driver in the Atlantic region, and he joins me on the program. Steve, first of all, this year I think you have 278 wins, which breaks your old record. Why such a phenomenal season?
I don't know, everything just seemed to fall into place. I had a lot of good colts to drive, and I campaigned in Fredericton Mondays and Thursdays, and towards late summer I campaigned in Moncton on Tuesdays and Saturday evenings. That attributed to a lot of it.
So you're on the road a lot, and as you say, that is a contributing factor. How much is the fact that you're an experienced driver who's been in it for years now, how much does that help?
Well, when you're driving a lot of races, you learn to know a lot of faults of the other horses that you race against, and a lot of times you've driven some of them horses, so you know their good points and their bad points, and I think that's an advantage.
Talking to some of the commentators from horse racing, they say that you have soft hands. Now, for somebody who's not in the horse racing world, can you explain what that means to have soft hands?
That's pretty hard to explain, but some horses are pretty strong molt, and I don't know, you seem to have some sort of a feel for them and not freeze into them and so on. And it's something that you pretty well have to get used to yourself to explain it. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
I suppose on the one hand, with your experience, you're getting to drive some of the better horses. Some of the horse owners are probably identifying you as one of the leading drivers, so when they got a good horse, they'll ask you to drive. But at the same time, you must be, some people may be starting to get a little bit resentful of you for winning so much.
Well, I don't think so. Everybody's in the game to win, and if I win with somebody else's horse, I know a lot of trainers, they'd sooner get me to drive just for the fact that if they're getting a percentage of what the horse makes, it's to their advantage to have somebody like me or to drive the horse, and the more money the horse gets, the more money they're going to get, so it works out, pretty well.
The purses aren't very big in the region. With 278 wins, what kind of living can you make?
Well, you just make a fair living, I don't know. But you got to travel a lot of miles and do a lot of driving. And for somebody like me, it's paid off, but there's probably a lot of people that don't make the living that I make.
And it's also quite hazardous. Let's have a look at some pictures, and before we talk about the hazards, I want to talk about some of your pleasant memories. And this is Seltzer Blue, and I know you feel this is one of the best horses you've ever ridden.
Yeah, he was one of the best horses I ever drove. He was only a 2-year-old at this time. He was later sold after his campaign as a 2-year-old to people in the States for reported over $100,000. And he had a phenomenal year. He won in 153 down there, and he's a real super horse.
What makes Seltzer so special, so different?
He was just, I don't know, he was almost human. He was real quick speed. He could do anything he wanted to. He'd get to the front in the race and he'd relax, and he was just an all-around real good racehorse.
Okay, the next picture we have, I think that's, would that be your 2500 victory?
Yeah, that's my 25th, 2500 lifetime wins. That was a light feat. It's a 2-year-old in a stake race here in St. John.
2500, how many years has it taken to get that many wins?
Well, 20 years at least, I guess.
Yeah, that's an incredible number. And the last picture we have
this is a horse in Moncton just a couple of weeks ago when I broke the maritime record, KGZ2.
And that was 262?
261,
okay.
yeah.
And you're breaking your own record, of course.
Yeah, it was 260 last year, and that was a 261 this
Starting to feel a bit like Wayne Gretzky, breaking your own records?
Well, I don't know. It's nice to break your own record, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to break that one again.
We have some videotape here, and I know you haven't seen it, but I want to show it because it certainly tells the story of the fact that this is not the easiest living to make, that there are lots of accidents. And in a moment we'll be able to talk about a bad accident you had in Fredericton, but let's have a look at this tape first of all, which I believe is from Exhibition Parkway. Now, of course, it's a foggy day, and we're about to see a pile-up, and I don't even know if you remember if you were in the horse comes up lame here, and all of a sudden...
Oh, yeah.
Were you in that race?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. This is my horse right here that went down.
Oh, my gosh.
It's an awful thing to see something like that happen, but just you're going that kind of speed, and sometimes a bad move by another horse or just touch a wheel or something like that, and things like that can happen.
What's going on in your mind when all of a sudden a mishap like that happens?
Well, you don't really have much time to think about it. It's just, it's all going to happen. You just hope you can come out of it, you know, on the good side. You hope that nobody gets hurt. And that particular day, the track was muddy and probably a little softer landing sort of thing. And I think everybody come out of it okay. Chicky Charlton bruised his shoulder some, and other than that, I think everybody was all right. All the horses come out of it all right.
I know, I mean, you care for your horses quite a bit, and I think in that video we saw you running for the horse. You must be torn between looking after yourself and the horse in an
Yeah,
occasion
they
like that.
say, you know, when the horse goes down like that, you try to get them as fast as possible. If everything else is, you know, pretty well okay, you get to them and get, you know, and sort of put some pressure on their hips so they can't jump up and, you know, get loose and maybe run into the field that's coming behind them and so on.
People are probably not aware of this, but you're a lucky man to actually be sitting here today talking to me, because a year ago in Fredericton, I think it was, you broke your neck in a race. Can you describe the accident?
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. Usually you know horses and know what kind of mistakes they'll make and where they'll make them, and you know, they have sort of a habit. This particular horse came in from Ontario, and the driver, you know, never had a chance to race him before, so he wasn't really familiar with him, and I didn't really know the horse, and we went to the gate together. And just as we were leaving the gate, he ran sideways and hooked into me, and I flipped off into another horse, and I got drug into the turn, and I broke my neck.
Now, the funny thing was you walked away from this, and it wasn't for a day or so that you found out that it was actually broken.
No, it was, I knew at the time when I got up, your first instincts are to get off the racetrack and into the center field or off, you know, towards the hub rail so the other horses can't run over you. So I did get right up at the time and get into the center field, but I knew at that time there was something wrong with my neck, and I went to the hospital in Fredericton, and they took x-rays but never found the fracture, so I come to St. John. I knew there was still something wrong, and I went into the hospital here and they found the fracture.
And so you were not racing for how long?
I can't really remember. It was probably 4 months. It was pretty near Christmas, I guess, and that had happened in September.
And of course I was surprised to see that you came back to it, but I guess that's...
Yeah, well, I've been in quite a few accidents, but that was probably the most serious one I've ever in.
Well, listen, I wish you continued success and good health as well.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Stephen Mahar is one of the winningest harness race drivers in Atlantic Canada, and he makes his home in St. John. We'll be back after this break.